Hello students, myself Sarita, biology lecturer, Government Girls Senior Secondary School, Jantiala. Today we will study morphology of flowering plants and the topic is flower. So we will study this topic under two subheadings. One is inflorescence and other is parts of a flower. So what is inflorescence? The mode of arrangement of flowers on a specialized branch on the top of the plant is known as inflorescence. The axis of the inflorescence on which the inflorescence is present, that is known as peduncle. Sometimes the flowers are single. Such arrangement is called solitary. And if the flowers they occur in inflorescence or group of flowers, then it is known as inflorescence. So it is a natural group of flowers which are produced on the peduncle is called inflorescence. Now the types of inflorescence. There are two major types of inflorescence according to the branchings. So type of inflorescence where the main axis continues to grow unlimited is known as racemose type of inflorescence. The flowers are born laterally in an acropetal succession. That means the older flowers they are at the base and the younger flowers they are on the top. So here the peduncle it grows indefinite and this type of growth is called acropetal growth. For example, in Crotalaria rafnus, they show racemose type of inflorescence. Second type of inflorescence is cymose. Here in this type of inflorescence, the main axis it terminates in a flower, hence it has a limited growth. So this is the main branch. Here it will end up in a flower and the flowers are born in a basipetal order. Basipetal means the flowers, the larger ones are at the top and the smaller ones are at the base. For example, in Calotropis and Bougainvillea, there is a cymose type of inflorescence. Now let us see the difference between the racemose inflorescence and cymose inflorescence. In case of racemose, the main axis continues to grow, but in cymose inflorescence, the main axis terminates in a flower. In case of racemose inflorescence, the growth is unlimited, but in cymose, the growth is limited. Racemose inflorescence, there is acropetal succession. That means the younger ones are at the top and the older ones are at the base. In case of cymose, flowers are born in basipetal succession. That means the larger ones are at the top and the smaller ones are at the base. Now we will study significance of inflorescence. Inflorescence makes the flowers conspicuous. That means they are clearly visible and they are attractive because they occur in groups and it becomes effective for pollination. Inflorescence occurs successively. That means the flowers they are coming one after the other and as a result the flowering period is longer, and also inflorescence helps for identification and classification of the flowering plants. By seeing the inflorescence we can classify them. So other advantages of inflorescence is that a large inflorescence also enhances the chances of wind pollination. An insect can pollinate many flowers in inflorescence in a single visit. Now, parts of a flower. So, a flower is generally born on a lateral side of the peduncle at a node in the axil of a leaf-like structure that is called bract. The bract protects the flower in the bud condition. Flower arising in the axil of the bract is known as bracteate, and a flower without a bract is known as ebracteate. So we have an example of bracteate flower, that is China rose, lily, and ebracteate flower like that of the mustard. Now if the flower is borne on a stalk-like structure, that is known as pedicel, also called as pedicel, then the flower is said to be pedicellate or stalked flower. A flower without stalk, non-pedicellate or sessile flower, this is a sessile flower. So in case of sessile flower, we can see that in sunflower florets, and flower with a pedicel like rose and tulip. So next is flower. These are the different types of flowers. So how will we define flower? Flower is a highly modified shoot which is meant for sexual reproduction of the plants. It is morphologically compressed part and it is a fertile shoot with modified leaves or floral leaves. Flower is meant for the production of fruit and seeds will form the future plant. Now let us see the main parts of the flower. So in flower there are 4 whorls. Outer one is the sepals, which are green in color, and it is the first whorl, and group of sepals is known as calyx. Second whorl is called corolla, and it is formed of petals. Petals are the colored parts of the flower. And the third whorl is that of stamens, and these stamens, all of them, they will form the androecium. And the fourth part is the female part of the flower, that is the pistil, and group of pistils will form the gynoecium. Now if we see the flower, the terminal end is swollen and it represents the floral axis, that is the thalamus, or we can also say it is a receptacle. From each node of the thalamus, a whorl of leaves is produced. So these 4 whorls are produced in circles. First is calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. So this is a flower and all the parts are shown. Here is the calyx, which protects the flower in bud condition. Then it is the corolla, then androecium, then gynoecium. These are the 4 whorls of a flower. Now which parts are essential and non-essential in flower? So the 4 whorls are calyx and corolla. They are the non-essential whorls because they don't take part in reproduction, whereas androecium and gynoecium, they are the essential whorls because they are involved in sexual reproduction. Now, parts of a flower determine if it is complete or incomplete flower. Now, if a flower has all the 4 essential parts, that is the sepals, petals, stamens and pistil, then it is said to be a complete flower. For example, in case of rose. Now, incomplete flower. In case of incomplete flower, any of the floral parts like sepals or petals, they are missing. In case of wheat or oat, then it is said to be incomplete flower. This is complete flower with all the 4 whorls, and this is incomplete flower with only the pistil. Now we will study symmetry of a flower. So how can we cut the flower in parts? If it is radial symmetry, that means when a flower can be divided into two equal radial halves in any radial plane passing through it, then it is known as radial symmetry. And such type of flower is said to be actinomorphic. When a flower can be divided into two equal halves only by one particular vertical plane, then it is known as zygomorphic flower. For example, in pea, gulmohar, bean and cassia. Asymmetric flowers are those which cannot be divided into two similar halves by any vertical plane, then it is known as asymmetrical flower. For example, in canna. These are the different types of flowers. First is actinomorphic, that means it can be divided into equal parts by any symmetry. Then zygomorphic flower, which can be divided only by bilateral symmetry, by one plane. And asymmetrical flower cannot be divided by any plane. Now let us discuss the insertion of the floral leaves. What is the relative position of the gynoecium with respect to the other floral parts? So, in case of hypogynous condition, here the petals, sepals, the stamens, they are situated below the ovary and the ovary is superior. For example, in mustard, China rose. So, here is the diagram. The ovary is superior and the other parts, they are below the ovary and they are said to be inferior. Other example is perigynous condition. In this case, the thalamus forms a cup-like structure or it may form flask-like structure, and the gynoecium occupies the central position, and the other floral leaves, that is the stamens, petals as well as the calyx, they arise from the rim of the thalamus. Now they are inserted on the rim. As a result, here the ovary is considered as superior and the other parts are inferior. So in this case, the examples are rose, primrose. Now in case of epigynous condition, when the petals, sepals and stamens, they are situated below the ovary, then the ovary is said to be inferior. And rest of the floral parts, they are superior. In this case, there is a cup-like structure that is formed inside the thalamus, in which the ovary, the lower part of the pistil, that is the ovary, that is embedded in the thalamus. As a result, only the style and the stigma of the pistil is seen and other floral parts are seen. Such kind of condition is said to be epigynous. For example, in sunflower, guava and apple. These are the diagrams showing the positions of the ovary. So first one is hypogynous, then perigynous, then epigynous. Now let us study the outer whorl of the flower, that is the calyx. So it is the outermost whorl of the flower. It is mostly green in color. It protects the developing flower. It is made up of sepals. The sepals may be free or they may not be free or fused together. So calyx is radially or bilaterally symmetrical. So all the sepals, they will form the calyx. Calyx with free sepals, like in case of rose. Calyx with connate or united sepals, in case of Fabaceae flower. So sepals, if they are united, then it will be gamosepalous. And if the sepals they are free from one another, as in case of rose, then it will be known as polysepalous. Poly means many, sepals but they are free, and gamo means fused, sepalous means this calyx. So now what are the functions of the calyx? So it protects the essential whorls from injury. If it is, as it is green in color, it helps in photosynthesis, attracts insects for pollination. In some cases, the calyx is hairy. It is known as pappus. So pappus will help in dispersal of the fruits. Now the second whorl of the flower, that is the corolla. It is the colored part of the flower, scented part of the flower. They may be free or they may be fused. If they are free, then the condition will be known as polypetalous. For example, in brassica, rose. If it is fused or united, forming a bell-like structure, funnel-like structure, in case of datura, petunia, then it is known as gamopetalous. Now in case of sepals, we use the word sepalous. Here the word petalous is used. Now what are the functions of the corolla? So it is for attraction, it is scented, it helps in pollination. In case of gametopetals, the lower portion of the gamopetalous corolla will have a nectar for attraction of the insects. In bud condition, these petals protects the inner organs like stamens and carpels. Also, the corolla regulates the entry of particular type of insects by forming various shapes of the corolla. Now the condition is that if the flowers, there is no distinction between the calyx and the corolla, then the condition is said to be perianth. And the perianth elements in this case will be the tepals. So when the tepals are free, it is said to be polyphylous, and if the tepals are fused, then the perianth is said to be gamophilous. Let us discuss the functions of the perianth. So as perianth means there is no differentiation between the calyx and corolla, so it will function both as calyx and corolla. It protects the floral buds. It also helps in attraction of the insects if it is a petaloid, and it will help in photosynthesis if it is a sepaloid. Now estivation. Estivation means the mode of arrangement of sepals or petals in the flower bud in respect to one another. So estivation may be of the following types: open, velvet, twisted, imbricate. So first we will discuss velvet. Sepals or petals, they do not overlap each other. Here there is a distance between them. Such kind of estivation is found in mimosa, calotropis. Second type is twisted. Here sepals or petals, they overlap the next sepal or petal. So if we take the example of petals, one margin of the petal will overlap the adjacent petal lobe, and the other margin is overlapped by the adjacent petal, for example in Nerium and China rose. In case of imbricate, the margins of the sepals or petals, they overlap one another but not in any definite direction. So it is irregular type and no pattern is seen here. For example, in Cassia or Gulmohar. Next is vexillary. The largest petal, the posterior petal, it overlaps the two lateral ones, which in turn overlap the two smallest anterior petals. Such kind of estivation is known as vexillary, for example in pea as well as bean. These are the diagrams of all the types of estivations. Now we will discuss the third whorl of the flower, that is the endometrium. So endometrium is the main fertile part of the flower. It consists of the male part of the flower. The stamens, they have anther and the filament. All stamens, they are called endometrium. Male reproductive part, that is the endometrium. It consists of one or more stamens. If all the stamens are free from one another, the condition is polyandrous, for example in Brassica salvia. If the stamens, they are united with the petals, then the condition is known as epipetalous, for example in Datura or brinjal and tomato. So this is a stamen. It consists of filament, anther and connective. So here we will study the filament. It is a stalk of the stamen that wears the anther at the tip, and it helps to lift the anther for pollination. Stamens are united by their filaments and the anthers are free, then the condition is known as adelphous. All the stamens, they are united, but the anthers, they will be free, then the condition is adelphous. If it occurs in one group, then it is monoadelphous, for example in hibiscus. If there are two groups, then it is known as diadelphous, for example in pea. If there are many groups with filaments fused but anthers free, then it is known as polyadelphous. For example in citrus family, you can take an example of lemon. Now the anther, it is the swollen fertile part of the stamen and it consists of two lobes. Each lobe has two chambers, which are known as microsporangium or pollen sacs. It contains pollen grains or microspores. If there are two lobes present in the anther, then it is known as diathecious anther. And if there is one lobe present in the anther, then it is monothecous. For example, in Malvaceae family, when anthers are united and the filaments, they are free, then the condition is syngeny, for example in a sunflower. So here we will see different forms of endometrium. Monoadelphous, if there is one group is formed, then it is monoadelphous. In case of hibiscus, China rose, or if there are two groups, then it is diadelphous, for example in pea. If there are many groups, then it is polyadelphous in case of citrus family. Here the filaments are fused but the anthers are free. In case of syngeny, the filaments are free but the anthers are fused and the condition will be known as syngeny, for example in sunflower. Now we will study gynoecium, that is the fourth whorl, essential part of the flower. female reproductive part of the flower. It consists of three parts: ovary, style and stigma. Here we will study style and stigma. This is the style and this is the stigma. So style is a narrow elongated thread-like structure. It may be hollow or solid. It connects the ovary with the stigma. So stigma is the terminal part of the carpel. It receives the pollen grains during pollination. It also provides a place for landing of the pollen grains during the process of fertilization. So stigma is generally rough and sticky in nature. Now the lower portion of the pistil, that is known as ovary. Each chamber of the ovary contains one to many small ovules in it. Ovules are produced on a special fertile tissue, that is parenchymatous tissue, that is known as placenta. How the ovules they are arranged on the placenta, that is known as placentation. In the ovary there are chambers or locus. If an ovary has one locus or one chamber, then it is unilocular ovary. For example, in pea. Bilocular ovary if it has two chambers in brinjal. If there are three chambers in the ovary, then it is trilocular in case of castor. If there are 5 chambers, then it is pentalocular ovary in case of hibiscus. These are the different types of gynoecium. Now, if it is with one pistil per flower, then the condition is known as monocarpous. If there are two, then it will be known as bicarpillary. If there are three, then tricarpillary. 4 tetracarpillary. 5 pentacarpillary. Now, if there are more than 5, then it will be known as polycarpillary. If the ovaries they are free from one another, then the condition is known as apocarpous. For example, in ranunculus, buttercup. Now, if the gynoecium consists of 2 or more carpels and all the carpels they are fused, then the condition is known as syncarpous. For example, in petunia. So here is apocarpous and syncarpous ovary. So this completes flower. Now recapitulation. So flower is a modified shoot meant for the reproduction. Complete flower consists of essential and non-essential whorls. Non-essential whorls, they are the calyx and corolla. Outermost whorl is known as calyx. Its units are called sepals, and the main function of the sepal is to protect the inner whorls in the bud condition. The next whorl is corolla. Its units are petals, the colored parts of the flower. Its main function is in pollination and protection of the inner whorls. Now, the essential whorls. These are androecium and gynoecium. Androecium is formed of stamens, and each stamen consists of filament, connective and anther, and its main function is in reproduction, as it is the male reproductive part of the flower. Gynoecium, it consists of carpels. All carpels they will form the gynoecium, and each pistil is formed of stigma, style and ovary, solan portion. So the main function of the ovary is in reproduction. It is the female reproductive part of the flower. So this completes flower.